Unity Worldwide, Chuck Grigsby. We are back at it. We're doing the King Project. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk with you guys in regards to Dr. Martin Luther King and some of his great work and some of the things he was able to accomplish in his great career with us. Today's discussion is in regards to Nobel Prize for Peace that he awarded in 1964. At 35 years old, he received this. This was 4 years before his death, before he was assassinated. And he was acknowledged for his nonviolent resistance to racial prejudice in America. So he was definitely doing his thing, and he got some international acknowledgement and prestige from that. And I just think that from what I understand and some of the great work that I just did in this discussion, that Dr. King probably didn't feel as great about this award as he had maybe with other ones. And here's why. I do know that his hero Gandhi was nominated at least 5 times prior to his recipient of this reward, and he never won. And I know that that's really where Dr. King really based a lot of his work, based a lot of his philosophy in the nonviolence movement. So I wonder how much and how he looked at this award in a way that he saw someone he looked up to, a mentor of his, be not acknowledged by the same people in his time and his work. I'll try to back that up here by this little quote that he gave. I accept this Nobel Prize for Peace at a moment when 22 million Negroes of the United Nations are engaged in a creative battle to end a long night of racial injustice. So that was the first thing he said, after, did the ceremonial acknowledgement of who was in the crowd and all that stuff. But that was the first thing that came out of his lips. And I really think that's really set the tone and really put a lot of people in the crowd on edge. It's well known, and there's a lot of documentation that shows that Dr. King said, I accept this on the behalf of the civil rights movement, but that's not what he said at the very first thing that came out of his mouth. And I really can tell you that when you look at the footage and when you look at some of the different people in the crowd, that this really made a lot of people uneasy, and it really put them on edge, and it made it seem as if they did not know what it was going to come out of his mouth next. So it was something that I thought that was brilliant of Dr. King to really take this platform, this international platform, and really push the civil rights movement cause even further. And I just thought that was a great move by him. He was up for this award. He beat out 43 other nominees. Just to name a few of them people, it was Herman Giemer. He was a philanthropist. William Tubman, the president of Liberia. Also the Norwegian Mission Society was up for it. And then also finally the UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, were nominated for this award in 1964, and they all got beat. He gave a 12-minute speech. He did show some appreciation. He did show some acknowledgement, but he did come out in a way that I think that they did not expect, and not as appreciative as other recipients did. He was actually nominated for this award in 1963, and he was nominated by a group called the American Friends Committee, a group that had received the award before, previous to that, and this was the same group that he worked with in 1966 in the Chicago campaign. So they were very familiar with his work, very familiar with what he was about. And then for some reason or another in 1963, they did not submit it fast enough, or the Nobel Prize for Peace Committee did not get a chance to really review and really research. For one other reason or another, they did have them reapply in 1964, along with another group that nominated Dr. King on his behalf, and that was the Swedish Parliament themselves. So Dr. King had 2 nominations for 1964 from 2 different groups, 2 different groups that did receive the Nobel Prize for Peace before him. Another great point about this, Dr. King received $54,123 for this award, and he was very adamant by making sure that everyone knew that he was going to use that money not for personal gain, but definitely to push the civil rights movement even further, and definitely take that and use that to the advantage with that amount of money. Dr. King received a 23-karat gold medal as well. All the recipients received money in the medal, and they also received a diploma. The diploma was a little bit interesting because the diploma normally is handed down directly from the King of Sweden, but for this particular classification of award, all the peace prizes, the chairman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee are the ones that handed him the diploma at that time. Another interesting point about that, and it really I think goes back into what I said earlier about Gandhi and kind of how Dr. King really looked at this award, but when you think about the actual diploma, most recipients have their name in Swedish. They have a citation with their diploma when it comes to them receiving it. But when you receive it as for under the Nobel Peace Prize designation, you don't get your name written in Swedish. You don't get a citation on your diploma. So I don't know how they did it, but it just seems like it takes away from what Dr. King was doing, takes away from the whole Peace Prize categorization as far as what they're doing. And it just seems like that was something that was unnecessary and really made it less than. And that's why I chose this particular topic today, because I just think there was some little back points on that. He gave that 12-minute speech, and it really had a lot of people on the edge and had a lot of people kind of really in a situation where I don't think they expected him to really be as adamant about pushing the civil rights movement as opposed to being thankful and really acknowledging a lot of people in the crowd for acknowledging him. GUND Worldwide, Chuck Grigsby. We're back at it with the King Project. We got a lot more coming at you for the month of October. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk with you today on Dr. King's behalf and some of the great things that I think that he got accomplished and giving you my perspective. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.